The silence before the storm. The observation deck of the Covenant's Edge stretched wide across the command station, a curved window of reinforced alloy offering an unobstructed view of the Helix Nebula. Commander Sarah Chen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the swirling clouds of cosmic dust paint the void in shades of purple and gold. Beautiful, deadly, and somewhere within those clouds, something was hunting. "Commander, the Vryn delegation is ready for you," Lieutenant Marcus Webb announced from behind her. Sarah didn't turn immediately. She'd been with the Galactic Coalition for 3 years now, ever since humanity had stumbled into this vast community of spacefaring civilizations. 3 years of proving themselves. 3 years of being the newcomers, the primitives who'd barely mastered faster-than-light travel while others had been crossing the stars for millennia. "Let them wait another minute," she said quietly. "I want to see it again." Marcus moved beside her, following her gaze. Out there, beyond the nebula's edge, entire colonies had gone silent. 17 worlds in 6 weeks. No distress calls, no survivors. Just silence. The kind that made even the oldest races nervous. "The Vryn think we're wasting time," Marcus said. "They want to retreat to the core systems, defensive formation, wait it out." "Of course they do." Sarah finally turned from the window. 10,000 years of civilization, and their first instinct is to hide. She made her way toward the conference chamber, her boots echoing against the metal deck. The station was a joint operation, human ingenuity merged with alien technology. But today it felt more divided than ever. Fear had a way of drawing lines between species. The conference chamber doors hissed open. Inside, 4 Vryn delegates stood around the holographic display table, their tall, crystalline bodies refracting the blue light of the star charts. They looked like living sculptures of ice, beautiful and cold. High Commander Zixstar turned his faceted head toward her, his voice emanating from somewhere within his chest, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. "Commander Chen, we have been waiting." "My apologies, High Commander. I was observing the nebula." "Then you have seen the latest readings." Zixstar gestured, and the hologram shifted. The Helix Nebula rotated slowly, red markers indicating the silent colonies. 18 now. The mining station at Kaleth 7 ceased transmitting 40 minutes ago. Sarah felt her jaw tighten. 800 beings on that station. Gone. "We must withdraw," another Vryn delegate said, her voice higher-pitched, but no less certain. "This enemy is unlike anything we have encountered. It does not communicate. It does not conquer. It simply erases." "Which is exactly why we can't run," Sarah said. The Vryn exchanged glances, their internal light pulsing bright, then dim, and what she'd learned to recognize as confusion or disagreement. "Commander, your species is brave, this we acknowledge, but bravery without wisdom is merely recklessness. The Coalition's military forces have attempted 3 separate engagements. Each fleet sent encountered nothing, empty space, and then, hours later, their home stations went silent. Because you're fighting it the wrong way." Sarah leaned forward over the holographic display. "You're treating this like a conventional enemy. Fleet movements, defensive perimeters, territorial strategy. But this thing, whatever it is, doesn't follow those rules." "And you believe humanity has the answer?" The skepticism in Zixstar's voice was subtle but present. Sarah met his crystalline gaze. "I believe we have a different perspective. You've all been spacefaring races for thousands of years. You've developed protocols, strategies, entire philosophies of warfare based on known physics and predictable enemy behavior. But humans?" She smiled grimly. "We've spent our entire history fighting things we didn't understand. Diseases we couldn't see. Weather we couldn't predict. Each other for reasons that made no sense. We've learned to adapt when the rules don't apply." "Adaptation requires time," another Vryn said. "These attacks are accelerating.
Then we don't have time to debate. Sarah pulled up her own data slate, uploading a file to the holographic display. I'm requesting command of a reconnaissance mission. Small ship, minimal crew. We go into the nebula, find this thing, and learn how it hunts. The Vrin's collective light pulsed bright, then dim. That is suicide. Maybe. But sitting here waiting for it to reach the core systems is definitely death. At least this way, we learn something. Zixtar was silent for a long moment, his crystalline form refracting rainbow patterns across the walls. The Council will not approve this. The Council doesn't need to approve it. According to Coalition Charter, Section 7, any member species can conduct independent defensive operations during a crisis. Sarah done her homework. I'm not asking for permission, High Commander. I'm informing you of my intentions. You would take this risk for worlds that are not your own. Sarah thought of Caleth 7, of the 17 colonies before it, of the expanding silence that threatened to swallow everything they'd built. Humanity didn't come this far just to watch from the sidelines. We're part of this coalition now. That means we fight for it. The Vrin delegates conferred in their harmonic language, a sound like crystal bells. Finally, Zixtar turned back to her. Very well, Commander Chen, but understand, if you venture into that nebula, we cannot guarantee extraction. You will be alone. Sarah nodded once. Humans are used to that. As she left the chamber, Marcus fell into step beside her. You know, this is crazy, right? Completely. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Get me a ship, Marcus, something fast, and find me a crew willing to fly into hell. That might take some time. We don't have time. Sarah glanced back at the observation window, at the nebula that held its secrets close. Whatever's out there, it's learning. It's getting bolder. And if we don't figure out how to stop it soon, there won't be anything left to save. The lights flickered once, just once, and somewhere deep in the station, an alarm began to sound. Into the abyss. The Defiant Hope wasn't much to look at, a Sparrow-class reconnaissance vessel with more patches than original hull plating, but she was fast, maneuverable, and most importantly, she didn't show up on most scanning arrays like a military frigate would. Sarah ran her hand along the airlock seal, feeling the cold metal beneath her fingertips. She'll hold together, Captain Ryo Tanaka said from behind her. The grizzled pilot had volunteered within an hour of Sarah's request going out. Flew her through the Andromeda run twice. If she survived that, she'll survive anything. Let's hope you're right, Sarah said. She stepped into the cramped interior. The crew was small, just 5 souls willing to fly into the unknown. Tanaka at the helm, Dr. Elise Okonkwo, a xenobiologist who'd studied more alien species than most people had met, Chenwei Park, their engineer, who could make broken technology sing, and Marcus, who refused to let Sarah go alone. Systems are green, Park called from the engine compartment. Well, mostly green, some are more yellowish, but we're good. Sarah settled into the co-pilot seat, strapping herself in as Tanaka began the launch sequence. Through the view screen, the Helix Nebula waited like a beast with its mouth open. Station Command, this is Defiant Hope requesting departure clearance, Tanaka said into the comm. A pause. Then Zixtar's crystalline voice responded. Clearance granted, Defiant Hope. May the stars light your path, Commander Chen. Thank you, High Commander. We'll send data bursts every 6 hours. If you stop hearing from us, we will remember what you attempted. The connection cut. The station's docking clamps released with a metallic clunk, and suddenly they were drifting free. Just one small ship against the infinite mark. Tanaka engaged the engines. The Defiant Hope surged forward, leaving the safety of the Coalition station behind. They crossed into the nebula's outer edge 2 hours later. The swirling clouds of ionized gas painted the view screen in otherworldly colors. Purples bleeding into golds, greens flickering like ghostly fire. Beautiful and disorienting. Sensors struggled to penetrate the dense cosmic soup. Scanning range is down to 30,000 kilometers. Anything could be hiding in this, Marcus reported from the sensor station. That's the idea, Sarah said. If this thing doesn't want to be found, it picked the perfect hunting ground. Dr. Okonkwo leaned forward from her station, her dark eyes intense behind her glasses. I've been analyzing the pattern of attacks. The colonies that went silent, they weren't random. Look, she threw a star chart on the main display. Each attack site is approximately equidistant from the next, like it's moving in a spiral pattern, working its way inward. Herding behavior, Sarah murmured. Exactly. Whatever this is, it's pushing the coalition towards the core systems, concentrating populations.
A chill ran down Sarah's spine. It's not just destroying colonies, it's corralling us. But toward what? Marcus asked. Before anyone could answer, the ship lurched violently. Alarms shrieked across every console. Contact! Tanaka's hands flew across the controls. Something just passed right through us. No, not through us, around us. I can't get a reading. Sarah's fingers danced across her console, trying to make sense of the sensor data. It was impossible. The readings showed nothing, yet something had definitely disturbed the space around them. The nebula's gases swirled in unnatural patterns, as if pushed by an invisible current. Park, give me every sensor we've got, full spectrum. I don't care if it drains the batteries. On it. The view screen flickered, cycling through different visual modes. Infrared showed nothing. Ultraviolet revealed only the nebula's natural emissions. But then Park switched to gravitational mapping, and Sarah's breath caught. There, a distortion in space-time itself, moving through the nebula like a shark through water. Not a ship, not matter as they understood it, something else entirely. My God, Dr. Okonkwo whispered. It's not technology, it's alive. The distortion shifted, seemed to notice them. Sarah felt rather than saw its attention focus on their tiny vessel. Tanaka, evasive. The world inverted. Sarah's stomach lurched as gravity twisted in impossible directions. The defiant hope spun like a leaf in a hurricane, despite Tanaka's desperate attempts to stabilize. Through the view screen, Sarah caught glimpses of something that hurt to look at. Geometry that shouldn't exist. Colors that had no names. Space folding in on itself like origami made of reality. It's trying to do to us what it did to the colonies, Marcus shouted over the screaming alarms. No, Sarah gripped her console as inspiration struck. It's not trying to destroy us, it's trying to understand us. She remembered her evolutionary biology courses from the academy. Predators studied prey. They poked, prodded, tested responses. This thing, whatever it was, had encountered the coalition fleets with their rigid formations and predictable tactics. It had learned to counter them, to slide between their defenses like they weren't even there. But humanity was different. Humanity was chaos. Park, kill the engines. All of them. What? Do it! Tanaka, stop fighting it. Let the ship drift. Commander, that's... Trust me. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Tanaka's training overrode his instincts. He released the controls. Park shut down the engines. The Defiant Hope went completely dark, powerless, drifting like debris in the cosmic wind. The violent spinning stopped. Sarah held her breath. Around them, the gravitational distortions circled, probing, but without active systems, without the electromagnetic signatures of a living ship, they were just another piece of space junk floating in the nebula. Seconds stretched into minutes. The distortion moved closer, its impossible geometry pressing against their hull like fingers testing the strength of paper. Then it withdrew. Through the gravitational sensors, Sarah watched it pull away, sliding back into the deeper regions of the nebula. Not gone. She could still feel it out there, waiting, but no longer immediately threatening. "Everyone okay?" she whispered. Murmured affirmatives came back. Park's voice shook slightly. "Commander, what the hell was that?" "I think," Sarah stared at the sensor readings, her mind racing. "I think it's a predator from a dimension we don't fully understand. And the Coalition's technology, all that active scanning, all those energy signatures, we've been ringing the dinner bell." "So how do we fight something we can't even perceive properly?" Marcus asked. Sarah's lips curved into a grim smile. "We fight it not the way the Coalition does. We fight it the human way." She turned to Dr. Okonkwo. "You said it's alive. That means it has biology, even if we don't understand it. Biology has weaknesses. You want to hunt it," Tanaka said, understanding dawning.
No, Sarah powered her console back up, careful to keep emissions minimal. I want to trap it, and I think I know how. She pulled up the colony attack patterns again, overlaying them with the nebula's composition data. There, a natural phenomenon the Coalition had dismissed as irrelevant. A region where the nebula's magnetic fields converged, creating a pocket of extreme spatial distortion. If we can lure it here, she traced the location with her finger. The natural gravitational shear might pin it long enough for us to study it, learn its weaknesses, maybe even communicate. That's insane, Park said. Completely insane, Dr. Okonkwo agreed, but it might actually work. Marcus looked at Sarah with something between admiration and concern. And how exactly do we lure an interdimensional predator into a trap? Sarah met his gaze steadily. We become the bait. The ship was silent, except for the soft hum of minimal life support. Out in the nebula, something ancient and hungry waited in the dark, and 5 humans prepared to do what their species had always done best. Face the impossible with nothing but courage, ingenuity, and a plan that probably shouldn't work, but might anyway. The human gambit. The defiant hope drifted through the nebula like a ghost, minimal systems barely keeping them alive. Sarah watched the gravitational sensors with predatory focus, tracking the distortion as it moved through the cosmic clouds. It was hunting again, sliding toward another colony marker on the edge of Coalition space. We need to get its attention before it reaches Outpost Meridian, she said quietly. 3,000 people there. Already on it. Park's fingers flew across his console. Modulating our electromagnetic signature to mimic a standard Coalition patrol vehicle. We'll look like a much bigger meal than we actually are. Tanaka adjusted their heading, angling toward the convergence zone Sarah had identified. ETA to the trap site is 42 minutes. Think we can keep this thing interested that long? We'd better. Sarah activated the comm. Dr. Okonkwo, what's your assessment? The xenobiologist's voice crackled through from the cramped research compartment. I've been analyzing the sensor data from our encounter. This entity exists partially in normal space and partially in what I'm calling subspace, a dimensional layer beneath our own. When it attacks, it pulls matter down into that layer, essentially erasing it from our reality. Can we reverse the process? Bring the colonies back? A painful pause. No, once something's been fully translated into subspace, it's gone. The energy required to reverse that process would be astronomical. Sarah closed her eyes briefly, grief and determination warring inside her. 18 colonies, hundreds of thousands of lives, all erased because the Coalition hadn't understood what they were facing. Then we make sure it doesn't take any more, she said. Park looked up from his console. Commander, we've got its attention. It's changing course, following us. On the gravitational display, the distortion shifted, its impossible geometry flowing toward them like smoke given consciousness. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs, but her voice remained steady. Good. Tanaka, keep our speed just fast enough to stay ahead. Let it think we're fleeing. The defiant hope increased velocity, leading their hunter deeper into the nebula. The swirling gases grew denser here, the colors more vivid. Through the view screen, reality seemed to shimmer and bend. Convergence zone in 15 minutes, Tanaka reported. It's gaining on us, Marcus said, tension creeping into his voice. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it soon. Sarah pulled up the trap specifications one more time, running through the plan. The convergence zone was a natural phenomenon where 3 massive magnetic field lines intersected, creating a pocket of extreme spatial distortion. If we can lure the entity into that pocket and then flood it with the right kind of energy... Park, are the modifications ready? As ready as they'll ever be. I've rigged every power cell we've got to discharge simultaneously. It'll create an electromagnetic pulse strong enough to destabilize the local space-time fabric. In theory. In theory, repeated Sarah. And in practice? Park grinned nervously. In practice, we might accidentally tear a hole in reality. But hey, no risk, no reward, right? That's the human spirit I was looking for. Sarah allowed herself a small smile despite the circumstances. The minutes crawled by. The entity pursued them relentlessly, its presence growing stronger, more tangible. Sarah could feel it now, a pressure against her mind like someone watching from just outside her peripheral vision. It was learning, adapting, trying to understand these strange new prey that behaved so differently from the others. 5 minutes to convergence, Tanaka announced. It's right on top of us, Marcus said. Commander. The ship lurched. Gravity twisted. Sarah's stomach flipped as the entity reached out, testing them, its impossible geometry pressing against their hull. Not yet, Sarah gritted out. Hold course. Another lurch. Alarms blared. The view screen flickered, showing brief glimpses of that other place, the subspace layer where the entity truly lived. Sarah saw impossible vistas, dimensions folded like paper, darkness that went down forever. 2 minutes. Dr. Okonkwo's voice came through, tinged with wonder and fear. Sarah, I'm picking up something. It's not just hunting us, it's trying to communicate.
What? The gravitational fluctuations, they're not random. There's a pattern, like a language. Sarah's mind raced. A language. Communication. Everything they'd assumed about this entity, that it was merely a predator, a mindless force. What if they'd been wrong? Can you translate? I'm trying, but... Oh, God. What is it? It's not from our universe. It's lost. It's been lost for... I can't even calculate how long, and it's starving. Understanding crashed into Sarah like a physical blow. The colonies, the ships, they weren't attacks. They were desperate attempts to feed, to survive in a dimension it never meant to enter. The entity was trapped here, as alien to their reality as they would be to its home. 1 minute to convergence, Tanaka said. Sarah made a decision that might damn them all or save everything. Park, change the pulse specifications. I'm sending you new parameters. Commander? Do it. Trust me. Her fingers flew across the console, adjusting the electromagnetic frequencies, the energy output patterns. Not an attack, a message. A beacon designed to resonate with the entity's own dimensional signature. 30 seconds! The Defiant Hope shot into the convergence zone. Space buckled around them, the magnetic fields creating visible distortions in reality itself. The entity followed, its vast presence filling the pocket. Now, Park, hit it! Every power cell on the ship discharged at once. The Defiant Hope went completely dark as a massive electromagnetic pulse erupted outward. But this wasn't an attack. It was a carefully modulated signal, carrying a simple message in the language of gravity and spacetime. We see you. We understand. Let us help. For a moment, nothing happened. Sarah sat in the darkness wondering if she'd just killed them all for nothing. Then the entity responded. Reality bent. The convergent zone blazed with impossible light, and through that light, Sarah saw what Dr. Okonkwo had seen, a being of pure energy and consciousness vast beyond comprehension, desperately trying to claw its way home through dimensions it didn't understand. The Defiant Hope shuddered. Power flickered back online, and on every console, data began streaming in, not destructive, but informative. The entity was showing them how it had fallen into their universe through a tear in spacetime, showing them its home, a place of different physics and beautiful, terrifying geometry, showing them its hunger, its confusion, its desire to return. Dr. Okonkwo, Sarah said, her voice shaking, can we send it home? A pause as the xenobiologist processed the incoming data. Then, yes, I think we can. But we'd need to generate a massive amount of energy focused at a specific dimensional frequency, more than this ship has, more than a dozen ships have. Sarah's mind leaped ahead, but not more than a coalition fleet has. She activated the long-range comm, praying it would reach through the nebula's interference. Station Command, this is Commander Chen. I need every ship you can spare at my coordinates, and I need them now. Zixtar's voice came back, distorted but audible. Commander, we detected massive energy readings. Are you under attack? No, High Commander. We're making first contact. 6 hours later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the Covenant's Edge, watching history unfold. 20 coalition vessels surrounded the convergent zone, their combined power cores synchronized under Park's direction. The entity waited at the center, no longer hiding, its true form visible through the specialized sensors Dr. Okonkwo had designed. It was beautiful, a being of living mathematics, of quantum probability made manifest, and it was about to go home. All ships report ready, Marcus said beside her. Sarah nodded to Zixtar, who stood with his delegation, his crystalline form pulsing with colors she'd never seen before. Wonder, perhaps, or hope.
"Initiate the sequence," Sarah ordered. The Coalition fleet fired as one, not weapons, but precisely calibrated energy beams that converged on a single point in space-time. The convergent zone erupted with light. Reality tore, not violently, but carefully, surgically, opening a doorway between dimensions. Through her sensors, Sarah felt the entity's joy, its gratitude. It reached out one last time, and every console in the fleet displayed a single message in perfect Coalition standard. "Thank you. We will remember. We will watch over you." Then, it slipped through the tear, returning to its home dimension. The doorway collapsed, space sealed itself, and the Helix Nebula was suddenly, beautifully empty. Silence filled the observation deck. Then Zixter turned to Sarah, his voice carrying a new tone, respect, unmistakable and profound. 3 years ago, when humanity joined the Coalition, many questioned what you could offer. Your technology was primitive, your experience limited. He gestured toward the nebula. Today, you have shown us something we had forgotten in our millennia of civilization. You showed us that understanding requires more than knowledge. It requires the courage to see the universe differently. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. We just did what humans do, High Commander. We faced the unknown and chose curiosity over fear. Perhaps that is what the galaxy needs. Not more warships or more advanced technology, but more beings willing to look at the impossible and ask, how can we help? Rather than, how do we destroy it? Marcus cleared his throat. So, what happens now? Sarah looked out at the stars, at the vast canvas of possibilities stretching before them. The 20 colonies were still gone, their loss a wound that would take time to heal. But no more would fall. And somewhere, in a dimension they barely understood, a lost being had found its way home because 5 humans had been willing to try the impossible. Now? Sarah smiled. Now? We keep exploring, keep learning, keep showing the galaxy what humanity is really made of. She turned to face the room. Not just courage or determination, but compassion. The willingness to extend a hand even to something we don't understand. Because that's not just the human way. That's the way forward for all of us. As the fleet began its journey back to Coalition space, Sarah caught one last glimpse of the Helix Nebula. The swirling clouds seemed peaceful now, their beauty no longer hiding terror, but promising wonder yet to be discovered. And somewhere out there, in the infinite dark, other mysteries waited for the day when humanity and the friends they'd made among the stars would be ready to face them together.